First time at the table, but always in our hearts. Let's welcome anchor Julie Seaver. This amazing human is the CEO of Compass, the LGBTQ community center of the Palm Beaches. A former client, then a volunteer, then a leader. Over the past 18 years, she has guided Compass's growth, championed equity, and earned multiple awards for advocacy. Many awards, all deserved. Julie remains dedicated to building safe, inclusive spaces and uplifting Palm Beach County's LGBTQ community. So Julie, Compass gears up for a season of pride and purpose by celebrating 3 important events this year. Tell me what's happening out.
Well, thank you so much, Faye, for having me. This is my first debut on the show.
Woohoo!
So Compass, as you mentioned earlier, is the LGBT Center of the Palm Beaches. And this year we're gearing up for partnering with Palm Beach Dramaworks for a November 12th Legacy Project event. This event every single year bridges the elder generation with LGBTQ youth, and the youth share their life stories with their senior members of the community. We like to call them silver foxes.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, they don't really like seniors or elders, but you know, you have to do what you have to do.
Silver foxes.
And it's all transformed on stage in a combined digital and live performance. And so then
that's November 12th.
Yes,
right?
that's November 12th.
And where is that happening at?
Palm Beach Dramaworks is located at the end of Clematis Street in downtown West Palm Beach, right across from the fountains. It's a beautiful theater.
Okay, and so we were talking before the show about how important it is to bridge that gap between our elders, between our what is it, saucy seniors? What are you calling them? Silver foxes?
Silver foxes.
We can call them daddies and daddies and zaddies, right? How we can bridge that, you know, that space between the kids, between our LGBTQ plus youth. And there is no other better place to do it than Compass when you really think about it. I mean, you guys, your whole passion are the LGBTQ plus kids. So where did this come about? This is not the first time you're doing it, correct?
No, I think we are on our 9th year, and it's been so important and so moving to connect our seniors with our queer youth, mostly because most people don't think that they have a story to tell, but that's the thing. Faye, everybody has a story to tell. And when we ask our seniors to share their story throughout the year, we videotape their stories and their conversations that they're paired up with an LGBTQ youth that is a best fit. And then it all comes together live on stage in November at Palm Beach Dramaworks. And so we're just so excited. And it's so important because really, it's our shared history, and the kids don't know, and they're definitely not learning about our queer history in schools.
No, of course not. And our history, like you said, is being erased day by day off the history books. So like, how do the new kids, right, learn about Stonewall? How do they learn about Marsha P, you know, if it's not like this? And also, like, I also think that, like, you know, this younger kids know technology. Older kids don't know technology, right? And then that also bridges that help, right? Have you seen an elder and a young kid become friends and, like, you know, just like don't remember their lives before the other?
Well, no, but I think that Gary Caldwaller, who is the executive director of Palm Beach Dramaworks, he's done an amazing job with his Outstage series and pairing up the right youth for that particular storyteller. Let's call them storytellers. I think they'd like that.
I love that.
Well, you call them silver foxes. What about some polar bears here?
You know, you wear it however you need to. But it's so important, and we've managed to capture stories that, unfortunately, some of those members of our elder community are no longer with us, and they're, you know, going to be forever on our YouTube channel.
I love that. Next up, let's talk about the Joyride. So Joyride was formerly Smart Ride to some degree, right? And that had been around for over 2 decades. And you folks, Glenn retired from that position. And then the folks said, we're going to keep this going. We're going to change the trajectory. We're going to make sure that the Joyride lives on. And you changed it now, going from Tampa or to Tampa. Tell me a little bit about that.
So this year's Joyride is happening on November 21st and 22nd. And this Joyride takes cyclists a thrilling 165-mile journey. We are moving it from the traditional Miami to Key West journey from Orlando to St. Pete. So we'll be celebrating and adventuring through Central Florida scenic landscapes. And I'm so excited about this. This is our second annual Joyride.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Nice.
And 5 benefiting agencies after the announcement that the 20th and final Smart Ride had ended. We decided that we wanted to continue the joy. And after his much deserved retirement, we all realized that our cyclists and our crew are aging out, right? And it's really important to continue the joy and make sure that our younger generations realize that HIV is still a thing.
Yeah.
But we also have to recognize that to the younger generations, so many more things are important to them, like mental health and self-care and housing and food insecurities. And so what we did was we piggybacked off of the legacy of the Smart Ride so that we could continue the joy. This year, moving the route, I'm very excited. I'm crewing. I'm not riding in the Joyride this year. I'm needed on crew. But for most of our cyclists, they were excited that they didn't have to cycle up 47 bridges. And the folks from Central Florida were like, no, you don't have 47 bridges, but we have hills here.
That's true.
So get to training. So I see everybody out there fundraising and training. And so keep riding those bridges because the hills, they be hilling.
Wow. Well, you know, I mean, Kevin, aren't you a cyclist? You look like a cyclist. Or you should start cycling. I don't know.
I need to
Right?
start. That's you're cycling. I need to start.
Is that what it is?
I need to start.
You look
You
like
can
a
do it.
cyclist
You
to
can
me.
do it.
I think you could do it and you still have time to train. There's 3 weeks, right?
All right, I'm gonna pray on that.
Absolutely.
I'll pray on that.
Listen, I have been to the closing ceremonies and it's a sight. There's something that you feel. I didn't ride one inkling, okay? But I was part of the cheer squad last year, right? So at different stops, I would go, yay! And then I would jump in my car and drive.
That's right. And
But that's important too.
oh, no, it absolutely is because when I did ride in the Smart Ride, once I saw those cheerleaders cheering me on, and I knew that it was only a half a mile to the next pit stop.
That's awesome.
Thank goodness. We need the cheerleaders. There is literally a crew ride position. If you can't ride, there is a position to crew for every single
Oh,
person.
I love that. So they'll put you to work. There's still time if you still want to be able to volunteer.
That's
for that.
right.
All right. And lastly, I mean, which is not lastly by no stretch of the imagination, World AIDS Day is coming up, and you folks always program an incredible week-long celebration and also observance. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So our opening ceremonies, of course, is on World AIDS Day, which is December 1st. And then we have 2 weeks worth of programming where everyone can come and visit the center. Our open hours, we're open nearly 12 hours a day, 8:30 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. And you will be able to see the most beautiful, hauntingly beautiful, I would say, display of the AIDS Memorial Quilt on the Eastern Seaboard, from what I understand from the Names Project. That's what they tell us. So
I love that. 2 weeks. I said 1 week. Damn, I shortened your work by a whole week. And I was like, wow, a whole week of programming. They're amazing at Compass. And then Julie's like, 2 weeks.
the quilt is so important. We feel that it's important to bring back the quilt because we all know that HIV and AIDS sees no sexual orientation, sees no age, sees no gender. And when the young people, we have scheduled tours with Palm Beach County schools and bringing young people in to put a face, a name, a story, a life with these quilt stories that are told across the panels is so important, and they can see themselves. And many times we've had volunteer docents do quilt tours. This year we have added a all Spanish speaking tour. So it's really important to come see it. And I might be a little bit biased, but you know, most of the time you see the AIDS Memorial Quilt laid out on the lawn, outside. And so we have installed a special bar system to hang up the quilt. So it's a very ethereal, respectful way of being able to view the quilt panels. We bring in 36 quilt panels every single year, and they're hung in such a way that is very meaningful to those And you can follow the quilt along. So if you have a panel of a loved one that you know has a panel, you can just type in what their panel number is or their name, and you can follow their quilt panel all over the world as it's shipped from place to place.
That's pretty amazing. Well, I didn't know that. Yes.
And then World AIDS Day, we also, if you're willing to, if you've decided that now is the time to make a quilt panel for one of your loved ones, we induct new quilt panels every single year on World AIDS Day.
Wow.
And then when it goes back home to San Francisco, the volunteers at the Names Project sew that inducted quilt panel into the rest of the panels.
How powerful!
That's amazing.
How powerful! I know
That's,
that. I know that Adriana has been next to a panel, right? That has toured. I hear that there's like an energy around these panels, like wherever you go see them, that there is an energy that like hits you over the head, you know? Is that true?
It is. I went to the MAC conference, USCHA, the United States Conference on HIV and AIDS. I went a couple months ago, and it was amazing. And so it was in this hotel, the hotel lobby at the very top. And so you would walk in, and they had this second floor, and it was just this huge, it was across the top, and you just looked up at it, and then you went up there, and you're just going, oh my goodness. And you could just see the impact that it had. And just looking at all the people who are on the panel from across the years and how far back it was. It was really touching.
There's an energy, there's a presence, and I
is.
truly think, and I actually know my husband, Todd Fogel, who, I was going to say he lives local, but he better live local in this house. But I'm thinking local. Of 30 years ago, he worked with the Names Project, right?
Oh, wow.
And so with that, what he did was he brought 365 of those 12-foot by 12-foot panels in for the AIDS awareness programs, right? He also worked as an educator for Mothers Voices out of Miami, if you remember that organization.
Yes.
25, 30 years ago. He wrote a curriculum since then that was actually put into the Broward school systems, and it really worked with AIDS education and also teaching kids about HIV and making healthy choices. You have a right to say no. And teaching a kid to be abstinent, no, it's probably not going to happen. But we can teach them to make healthy choices, right?
Yeah.
So
And to be educated.
in order to create a dialogue, he brought these panels to South Florida from the Names Project and brought those into the school systems at a time when it was allowed and encouraged. And these kids were so moved by it. I'm so proud of what he did. And Names Project has always been had a little star in my heart because just of what they've done, I've been around it. And I know that some families have sewn the ashes of their loved ones inside the panels.
Into the blankets, into
So
the
there is a
into the
living
quilt,
presence to the panels. It's amazing.
Incredible, incredible. So let me tell you folks, all right, World AIDS Day is coming faster than you think, all right? So many incredible nonprofits, so many incredible organizations like Compass, like Trans Inclusive, like Can Community. A lot of different people are doing World AIDS Day events. Make sure that your behind is at one of them. Literally, you can go to more than one, okay? Because there's going to be weeks of events, all right? Thank you for all you do over at Compass, and I'm excited to have you here at the Queer News Tonight table. So Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at all the Compass events, all right? This November and December, so make sure you follow them on all social media to know when those are happening. And that is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.